I'm excited to welcome to the stage a woman who is a noted advisor when it comes to creating smart and sustainable cities here in GCC in the Middle East. Nadine Bitar is the founder and CEO of Placemaking, an urban innovation lab. Nadine, welcome. A round of applause, please.
Thank you for everyone who made it until now, and I hope I will be as short as possible. I come from an urban design, and maybe in an innovation summit, it's a discipline not a lot of heard of. Urban design is the art of making cities, and we think that cities are one of the most complicated human creation. And in that aspect, innovation is needed. I'm going to take you through the essential and necessity of urban design. Then I'm going to talk about Urban District 4.0. I'm actually relating to the head of the World Economic Forum, Karl Strauss, who said we are in the fourth revolution now. What is smart? For me, smart is in the service of sustainable, and then how it will look like. And I will end it with, is the future biophilic? As you know, we as species, we tend to think that Earth is unlimited. It's not. And if we continue doing what we are doing now, we will need 3 Earths, actually, to finish what we are set to do. And 147 countries, actually, as I'm speaking now, there is a General Assembly happening now in New York, and they agreed on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals are about what we agree to be a sustainable future. Now, what do they mean for us? In the Arab world, we are faced with many, many challenges. One of them is the increase in CO2 emission, resilience, the car dependency, lack of housing choices, lack of identity, and mostly livability. We're seeing displaced people. Actually, today, there is more than 1 billion people displaced. Out of the 1 billion people displaced, as you know, in Syria, we have 4 million people forcefully displaced. 63.5 million are displaced because of war zones. So we are facing also a nomadic workforce. People who are traveling between countries to find jobs, distance working, and also advance in information technology. And this is where urban design is important, because we all live in cities, we all want to live in cities, we want to work in cities, and this is where we need to shape these cities to address these challenges on a policy level, on a design level, on many different levels. So, my only proposal for you today is to think about place. City not as a node, city as a place, where we all belong to, where we all relate to. And I actually invented a model on how a smart and sustainable city would look like. It's basically based around transit, and I've taken the red dot in the middle is the transit, and how you can actually design a whole district around this transit. And this district, formed around a network of public spaces, can become also the network of your fiber optic, infrastructure, electricity. The second thing why we need a network, because simply what we call a smart city needs a network as well. As you know, we have broadband, we have different generation, but they need a physical infrastructure of sensors, of towers, and we in urban planning, we have specific guidelines for them. So if you want to know more, I can discuss with you in private what are the guidelines for that. And this network actually helps us to physically design these systems. The most important thing in my research, I've researched for 30 years cities and many developments in the Middle East, is nodes. We need nodes. Every 75 meter, 100 meter, we need gathering spaces, we need pedestrian spaces. And I'm not going to take you through the different principles, but there are defined principles based on research in urban design for the past 100 years relating to identity, ecology, infrastructure, public space. In particular for the Arab city, these are all issues we face in the Arab cities. So, for example, if we want more social diversity in our city, we need to really provide pedestrian networks. If we want more economic vitality, the previous presenter talked about retail. If we want more environmental integrity, we really need to think about walkability, shading, and so on. How this rallies with the smart city discourse now happening. 42% of all data by 2020 will be machine generated through sensors. We will have 90% of world data geo-referenced. It has a specific place allocation. 84% of all companies are deploying cloud technology, and guess what? The mobile is the new office space. So cities need to respond. As you know, we have an urban system and social system. Urban system is basically water infrastructure, built environment, transportation. Social system is your social infrastructure, schools, hospitals, clinic, and so on. What about ICT? How these two are going to actually merge together in one design? Of course, in Dubai Smart City, the Smart District Guidelines were just released. I was also thrilled to know that there is a real stress on sustainability. A big part of it actually relates to public realm. I'm going to show you now 2 case studies that we've done. One of them is Al Sufuh suburb. Al Sufuh suburb has one of the largest metro stations in Dubai. However, its ridership is one of the lowest. So this is an analysis on the challenges, the strength of this area, suburban area. And as you notice, one of its major strengths is that it has mixed land use. So you have Dubai Internet City, Dubai Media City, we have the university. So different hubs are co-located, but they don't actually integrate. And also we talked about then the opportunities, how ecology can help us, how we can link the ecology to the transit system. And this is how the model is applied. Do you remember the model I showed you with the network? We actually applied it. And what we've done, we've taken the transit nodes, did this ring of 200 meter, 400 meter, and then put nodes, and these nodes connect all the development together. This was the basis of a smart city lab that I was responsible for with UN Habitat, and we showed actually the outputs of the Smart City Lab in Urban Thinker Campus. It's part of the World Urban Campaign for the Sustainable Development Goals. It was based also on the guidelines for public realm from Dubai Smart City. And we investigated the technology that we can use using the model that I've showed you in order to use innovation and technology for sustainability. The first thing we investigated is actually how we can make the facade of the building decrease CO2 emission. And we find out that there is a certain different types of technology that if we put them together, it can contribute to 30% decrease in CO2 emission. For example, nano crystal coating, an algae filtration system. The second thing we talked about is biomimicry. I don't know if you heard the name, but it's funny that in this phase, architects are going back to nature. There is something in nature that is so sophisticated, that is so technological, if I want to refer to the right definition of technology, that we can be inspired of. And one of the things that now biomimicry is helping us is how we can actually generate energy out of humans, out of pedestrian activity. These are models of tiles that when you put them together, they can actually generate energy. The other type of innovation happening now is the vibrance system. It's actually a facade system that vibrates according to wind, like trees, and it generates also energy. Photovoltaic membranes that can be applied in form of paint. This is a model for a building that can be 3D printed. And it's a model that we're going to investigate for displaced people. This is the pedestrian activity energy generation tile that I talked to you about. It actually can capture data. It's an open source data also for apps, if you want to understand how people move, where they move, how they go, and so on. And lastly, but not least, agriculture sensor, urban agriculture. We can actually use technology to help us generate our own food, since food security now is a big thing. These are all type of technologies. I know you want to go to lunch, so I'm not going to take you in detail through them. I'm happy to discuss them with you. We actually investigate them in the university also with my students. My second project is a project I've done with Dubai Creative Cluster Authority on Al-Rashidiyya. It was more like a research project to implement the model I talked to you about. As you know, Rashidiyya has its own culture, its own history, but we try to relate to the metro station there, how we can make Rashidiyya a district that can be actually future-proof. And we use climate a lot, but also what we use is the open spaces. Rashidiyya has a wealth of open spaces that are not well investigated. And by using these open spaces, we have actually put pointers where smart technologies can be applied. It's not, smart technologies are not only for the young generation. So I come to my last point about biophilia. Edward Wilson is a psychologist, and he has actually proved that as human beings, we have an innate connection to nature. Our wealth, our health, our well-being improves as we connect with nature. And this innate belonging with nature, if it's not satisfied on a daily basis, we suffer in our health, we suffer in our economy, we suffer in many, many other aspects. And this is where biophilic design was born as a theory. But in particular, I'm now very interested in biophilic cities and how we can apply this behavioral psychology theory using technology. So, what is it? So this is just a vision of a public space. The facade of the public space changes according to the emotions of the people sitting in the place. It's like the tree that changes through seasons. This is another model of a development where actually the nodes that forms the urban agriculture, the small parks, the big parks, the large parks, connect through a network. And this network becomes the network where people can play, can work, and so on. So people can play actually in the park, but they can also work in the park. If the park is actually Wi-Fi, it has connection, it has connectivity, it has informal spaces, then why not it becomes the office? These are all renderings. At the end, I implemented all these ideas in a competition for a country called Liberland. It's a country that will be born in the next 10 years, next to Croatia. And based on this competition, actually we won the first place. And the head of the jury is Patrick Schumacher. He's the general manager of Zaha Hadid office. And it's an algae-powered, sustainable micronation of innovator where everything that I talked to you about in terms of principles were applied and a vision of the future was presented. So I want to end with a long sentence, but it's very important to me. These investigations are pointing out that it is at the intersection of place-led development, visions, biophilic urban design, and people-centered transit that technology innovation of smart city would contribute to sustainable and smart district. So these are my contact details if you want to know more. Thank you.